Hey Othersiders, this is Sam from Otherside Gaming, and welcome back to Respect Your Elders. Today I'm gonna review Star Fox 64. Or maybe not.
Hey, what's the big idea?
What are you talking about, Slippy?
Is that the best you can do?
Falco! Fucking...
You're becoming more like your father.
Tell me what the fuck are you talking about? You know what? Fine. Fine, I'll review it. Okay? Besides, I love this game. It's the best. The original Star Fox was a technical marvel of 3D technology back in 1993 on the Super Nintendo. The game took advantage of the Super FX chip, which allowed for more advanced graphics. It makes me wonder how the hell I thought this looked good. The 3D was cool, but the game feels like it was beckoning for something more. Something more sleek, advanced, and stylish. Between the time of Star Fox and Star Fox 64, another Star Fox game was developed for the Super Nintendo simply titled Star Fox 2. Star Fox 2 was vastly different compared to its predecessor. Unlike Star Fox 2 didn't stick to the on-rails shooting. Instead, the game was mainly focused on an overworld of the Lilat system. If your two ships encountered the enemy, the player would then be taken to an all-range mode in an R-Wing. Star Fox 2 added a lot to the franchise as a whole. There were two new characters named Faye and Miu, Star Wolf was introduced, and essentially the entire gameplay basis of Star Fox Command was made for the Nintendo DS. You could also transform the R-Wing into an awkward chicken-walking R-Wing thing. However, Star Fox 2 was ultimately cancelled due to the fact that the Nintendo 64 was right around the corner, and Miyamoto wanted to show people the pure power of the system. His thoughts were that the perfect game to accomplish that goal would be Star Fox. Although Star Fox 2 was cancelled, many ideas would be brought over into Star Fox 64. Star Fox 64 was released on April 27th, 1997 in Japan, July 1st in North America, and released as Lilat Wars on October 20th in Europe. Star Fox 64 also came packaged with one of the most revolutionary add-ons in video game history.
Look at your little plumber boy now.
What are you doing? No! Not the Mario doll! Hook up to the battery table coaster, Dad! No! That's enough. That's enough. All right. This is the Rumble Pack.
Think about it. Where would video games be without the Rumble Pack? Star Fox 64 is more of a reimagining of the original Star Fox rather than a sequel. And dear God, is it fantastic. It has a story, gameplay, and cheesy one-liners to wrap it all together.
Who are you guys? We're Star Fox.
The game starts off with a narration of the epic story. Essentially, Andross was a mad scientist that was banished to the planet of Venom for nearly destroying Corneria. Later, strange activity was coming from Venom, so Corneria sent the original Star Fox team composed of James McCloud, Peppy Hare, and Pigma Dengar to investigate. Once there, Pigma betrayed James and Peppy. James sacrificed himself to save Peppy so that he could tell Corneria about Andross. Together with the new Star Fox team with Fox McCloud, James's son, Peppy, Falco Lombardi, and Slippy Toad, they would help Corneria defeat the menace that is Andross. Gameplay is very similar to the original Star Fox in the sense that it's an on-rail shooter with a few exceptions to some levels. The controls are relatively simple. You push down to go up, and up to go down. You can shoot bombs, fire lasers, and even
Do a barrel roll.
even though it's technically not a barrel roll. The controls are so smooth that half the time I forget I'm even playing a video game. The ultimate goal is to beat a series of levels to reach Venom and defeat Andross. Though there are multiple levels that have branching paths, so depending on how well you do in a certain level will be a factor in what level you will go to next. I've managed to compile the basic structure of a Star Fox 64 level down to 5 sections. 1. Mission begins with a badass cutscene. 2. Play through a mission and shoot stuff to gain points. 3. Playful banter and useful tips are said to you by your comrades.
Fox, you're supposed to shoot them all.
4. Boss appears and cranks up the sass meter to 11.5.
Let's see what you've got.
5. Once boss is defeated, boss explodes in fiery death as Fox says a cheesy one-liner.
I lost to this scum! Sorry to jet, but I'm in a hurry.
But there's a little bit more to the game than that. There's just something about this game that really clicks with me. The stages are all super cool, the R-Wings themselves are badass, the characters are lovable, well, except for one. Slippy. Speaking of characters, did you know that they were modeled after puppets? It turns out that Shigeru Miyamoto was a pretty big fan of the Thunderbirds, which was puppet-based. So, to reduce talking animation, the characters have about 2 frames of animation. A bit minimalistic, but still charming. And by God, look at these graphics. These graphics blew away my 5-year-old mind. Everything was just so detailed. Even the water had reflections of your R-Wing. But let's not forget that the star of the show in the graphical department is the explosions. Star Fox 64 is a game with many memorable moments, and is filled to the brim with non-stop action. Like, remember that one time when Nintendo completely ripped off Independence Day and had that stage where the chips were all flying everywhere and there was a giant mothership? Yeah, that was cool. Oh, or that stage where you're 10 feet away from the sun and destroyed that secret biological weapon thingy? Or when you're underwater in the Blue Marine, which almost wasn't a level because the Nintendo 64 couldn't hardly handle it? That was cool too. Or that time when you go through the spinny thingy so that you could enter an acid trip hyperspace? Or in the first level, when you take the secret way in the Cornelia stage, and the boss is the first boss from the original Star Fox? Oh, God, so cool. But seriously, this game is wonderful. Because of the branching paths, this creates 2 different endings. One good and one bad. I remember the first time I finished the game only to have Andros laugh in my face. God, did it feel great after I destroyed his brain cells into oblivion. Another great aspect of Star Fox 64 is the 4-player dogfights, and if you're really cool, you can battle with Landmasters, and even on foot. Even if you get tired of blowing up your friends to pieces, there's even an expert mode for all you perfectionists out there. The music in this game is just gorgeous. Koji Kondo outdid himself with Star Fox 64. From the epic orchestral ending song to the heart-pounding music while facing Andros, the music always hits the mark. Spoilers incoming. When I got the real ending to Star Fox 64, I remember almost crying because of everything that was happening. Granted, I was like 5 or 6, but still. With Fox being guided by his dad with those cool shades, God, he's so cool. Saving the Lilat system, and God, that music. Star Fox 64 is a game that is very close to me personally. As a kid, I didn't have many friends growing up. I was always that awkward kid that was off in the far corners of the playground, probably eating glue or something like that. On top of that, I had to experience a lot of death at a young age. Oftentimes, I would come home, do my homework, and then play video games. Video games were the only thing that made me happy. Later that Christmas, I got my Nintendo 64 and Star Fox 64 for Christmas. I might as well have been the Nintendo 64 kid. That's how happy it made me. One day I decided to invite some kids over to play some video games, and guess what we played? Yeah, that's right. Star Fox 64 multiplayer. Star Fox 64 is one of the sole reasons of how I learned to make friends, and overall made me feel better about my life. In conclusion, Star Fox 64 is one of my favorite games of all time. It was the pinnacle of the Nintendo 64 and the Star Fox franchise as a whole. Recently, a remake of Star Fox 64 was made on the Nintendo 3DS. I haven't gotten the chance to play it, but I'm sure that it's fantastic. And with that, I have to say, Nintendo, please make a new Star Fox game for the Wii U. I can only imagine how awesome it would be. You can find Star Fox 64 on the Wii Virtual Console for about $10, or you could get a cartridge for around $14, $15 if you're interested. And if you have a 3DS, then try the remake. I'm sure that's just as good. If you're really interested in Star Fox, you can actually try out the Super Nintendo, and you can find it relatively cheap, actually. And if you're really interested in Star Fox 2, there's a ROM floating around the internet somewhere. Anyways, this has been Sam from Outside Gaming. If you haven't thought about your ancestors lately, think again. I'll see you next time.